Hi, I'm Ryan Plass, and today I'll be quickly guiding you through getting the most out of a multi-tenant Phantom environment. Turning on multi-tenancy in Phantom is actually pretty straightforward. First, you navigate to Administration, then under Product Settings there is a multi-tenancy option. Once there, all you have to do is toggle Enable Multi-Tenancy on. After you turn on multi-tenancy, you'll be asked to set up a default tenant. This is what Phantom will use when no tenant is specified, but can be set up to be whatever tenant you want. After the default tenant is set up, you can add in the rest of the tenants you'll be using. For this talk, I created a tenant for a marketing department, but this could be anything. For example, a managed service provider might use this to differentiate the customers they have. So now you have the ability to go into containers in Phantom and set the tenant manually, but this is pretty lame, pretty tedious, and pretty not automated, so let's do something cooler. When you set up your event ingestion assets, there's a tenant tab all the way to the right. Here, if you specify a tenant, all events ingested through this asset are now set to that tenant by default. This is super cool, super easy, super automated, and in the words of Ron Popeil, we get to set it and forget it. Another cool feature we can now take advantage of is tenant-specific user roles and permissions. This could be useful if you have a user who is only supposed to have access to the events of a specific customer and not everything. For example, here I've created a role called Marketing Analyst, where they only have access to view, edit, and delete events set to the marketing tenant. A final tip for getting the most out of a multi-tenant environment is to design your playbooks with multi-tenancy in mind. Different tenants can have different requirements, and if each playbook has to have different functionality for each tenant, making changes to those playbooks can quickly get out of hand. Things to keep in mind for building multi-tenant friendly playbooks are isolating tenant-related functionality and using child playbooks to make sure you only have to update tenant functionality in one place. We do this by utilizing Phantom's ability to pass data between playbooks. For this talk, I've put together a very simple example of an IP investigation playbook and a reporting playbook. The IP investigation playbook is our universal tenant agnostic playbook. What we're doing is getting the reputation for an IP from VirusTotal and checking to see if it's above our "this is bad" threshold. If it is, we create a message to send to our customer, store it, and call our child reporting playbook. In our reporting playbook, we have all of our tenant-specific functionality. First, we retrieve that message we stored in the parent playbook, and then check to see which tenant the event is for. If it's our default tenant, we create a Jira ticket with the message details. But if it's a marketing department tenant, we send an email since they aren't in our Jira system. Creating our playbooks this way makes it so if, for example, the marketing department suddenly starts using Jira or any other ticketing system, we can change our code just in this one playbook and have it take effect for all playbooks. To recap what we've gone over, getting multi-tenancy set up is super easy. From there, we utilize the tenant settings for our ingestion assets to automatically set the tenant. We can also use tenant user roles and permissions to lock things down for certain users. Lastly, when we build our playbooks, keep multi-tenancy in mind and design things in such a way that your tenant-specific code is isolated from your universal playbooks and easily updated. Thanks for listening, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions or want to discuss anything I talked about here.